Well, did that game go the way you thought it was going to go?
Well, I don't know. That one was probably a little bit higher scoring than we anticipated. But I think, Paul, when you have two good offenses, two good defenses, it just had to be one of those ones where the offenses kind of took control from the opening kick.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun game to watch, and just the back and forth of it was amazing. And watching the individual performances of not just Tyree Jackson, but particularly Anthony Johnson were amazing. I had asked you after the game, how was it that Anthony was able to do what he did in that game, which is set a school record for receiving yards? And I thought you gave a perfect answer, which was you just looked at me and you said, he's AJ.
Right. He's just a special player that we've been waiting to get healthy, and he makes so many plays, for us. But I think his size is kind of, sometimes his speed gets kind of lost in there. But that contested catch is the one that I've always been amazed with that he makes when people are kind of draped all over him.
I thought the first touchdown was an excellent example of the chemistry between Tyree and Anthony Johnson, because as you watch the replay, it was a corner route originally, and then as Tyree rolls out, Anthony then adjusts it and runs towards the middle of the field. And as we saw the play, you just thought he ran straight down the field and beat his guy, and it was a long touchdown. But that nuance between the quarterback and the wide receiver, pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And if you go back to the first play of the game when KJ Osborne got free down the sideline, but it was just slightly overthrown, that also was an adjustment based on coverage as well. And I bring that up because I think between Anthony and Tyree and KJ and Tyree is that I think they have a great feel for each other in all those instances when the scramble rules take place. And we work on that in fall camp, but we don't spend a lot of time once we get into season. But when he flushes the pocket, those guys know where to head, and we've had a lot of big plays from that this year.
Of course, Tyree throws his 3 touchdown passes, all of them to Anthony Johnson, but Tyree also runs for 3 touchdowns, and we've seen over the last month or so that he has been much more willing to do that at the right times. Can you give people an idea of how more dangerous that makes Tyree when defenses now have to worry about that part of his game?
Well, you could see it whether it be within the goal line situation that he is going to keep the ball on a zone read play, or when we do scramble and he's been able to get to the sticks and get us another first down. And when we have those guys, those guys being the receivers, getting downfield vertically, and if things are breaking down, things are getting flushed, guys are running down 20, 25 yards, and he decides to keep the ball, there's a lot of green for him to take advantage of.
It's a game, there was almost 100 points. There was almost 1,000 yards. But I do want to ask you about defense, because as the game went on, your defense finally settled in a little bit, made some big stops, winds up with 6 sacks. What was the defense able to figure out, particularly in that fourth quarter?
I don't know about figure it out, Paul. It's just a matter of that, maybe people are wearing down a little bit. You get a chance to get some personnel matchups that you like. They had a couple drops, and there were some things, and all of a sudden I thought the down distance got into a little bit more in our favor. The second and longs, the third and longs, and then we were able to kind of get those packages on the field that were able to get pressure on the quarterback.
Well, this was a big win for the Bulls. It's another big game for the Bulls tomorrow night against the Kent State Golden Flashes here at UB Stadium. But we talked about the significance of the win over Miami. Were you able to feel a little bit of that after the game, either from you or from your players, about the satisfaction of winning a very crucial game?
I think so. I think our guys were extremely excited. They know it was a physical ball game. It was emotional in a lot of ways, like you said, of the back and forth. So, we had that little layoff, and you kind of worry about how you come back after kind of breaking your routine. In some ways, maybe a slow start on the defense side, but we were able to be effective offensively. So I think there's a lot of emotions going in there. And as we get into this week now, we got to be able to bounce back, because every game gets a little bit more important when you're able to keep stacking wins.
Thanks, Coach. More on tomorrow night's big game next.